Welcome to the Dream Mentorship Podcast, where we interview everyday women making a difference in their lives and communities. From doctors to stay-at-home mamas, CEOs who work hard with no drama. This is where you come to dream and be inspired. Because at Dream Mentorship, we believe that every dream is valid. Here's our host and founder, Mac Jane Creighton.
Hi dreamers, and welcome to today's podcast. Of course, you know I'm your girl Mac Jane Creighton, and today we have some very special women that are joining the conversation. If you've been following our journey for a while, you know we always bring one guest a week to talk about their journey in entrepreneurship or their 9-to-5 job. But today we've decided that we're going to do things a little bit different. We decided to bring young women that are between the ages of 20 to 34, who are the women we cater to at Dream Mentorship, to talk about their life, their journey. And today specifically, we'll be talking about dealing with mental health and success, which is something that so many young women are facing today, especially since the pandemic. People often find that struggling with poor mental health holds them back from succeeding in their lives. It is important to acknowledge that whatever specific mental health illness you suffer from, it is possible to find help and support from other people who have found healthy ways to cope. And we want to make sure that you know that you are not alone in this journey. Mental health is a wide-ranging topic, but for today, we'll be discussing coping mechanisms and support systems. So if you are interested in this and it's someone who is dealing with mental health issues and you're looking for ways to cope with that or support system, this is definitely a podcast for you. I want you to get your writing pad out and turn the volume up wherever you are so you can take some good notes and hopefully we can help in some way. All right, so joining me on today's podcast are three phenomenal women, and I'll start by introducing Allison. Allison is a communications and marketing intern here at Dream Mentorship, and she's a rising junior at Auburn University. She is studying sociology and nonprofit studies. She is passionate about women's empowerment and hopes to help all women not only find their voices, but use them as well. The topic of mental health is extremely important to her to achieve because she is so excited to delve deeper into the topic with all of these amazing women that we have on today's platform. And Allison, would you say hi to everybody?
Hi.
All right, so I'm going to introduce Destyni next. Destyni is a rising undergraduate senior, and she attends the University of Alabama at Birmingham. She's a psychology and sociology double major, and she is pursuing her master's in public health while at UAB as well. She currently serves as a summer intern for UAB's Student Counseling Services on UAB's campus. Destyni is involved and leads multiple student-led mental health promotion programs. So you see why she's important to be joining us on today's conversation. We want to get to know all that cool stuff she does with the wellness program. She's passionate about women's mental health, and her story actually stems from her experiences living with her mother, who had bipolar disorder as well as her own mental health concerns. And Destyni hopes that continuing that mental health awareness, we can be able to help so many other people become better and learn how to cope. So I'm excited to hear all the cool stuff that Destyni has to share today. Say hello to everyone, Destyni.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. And definitely last but not the least is Morin. Morin Fifo is a volunteer country lead for Nigeria at Dream Mentorship. She has a Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology from the University of Maryland, College Park, and an AAS in Fashion Design from Parsons School of Design. She has worked in event planning, hospitality, fashion, and international relations. She enjoys all things artsy, writing, traveling, and watching sports, and I definitely can attest to that. So welcome to the podcast, Morin.
Hi. Hello.
Well, we're so glad to have all of you phenomenal women join us on the conversation today. And to kick it off, even though I've just read or said all this amazing stuff about you, but I want people to get to have a little bit of a background of who you are as an everyday woman. So, can you share with everybody? I'm going to give you, or I'm just going to ask questions randomly. So, I'm going to start with Destyni. What is life like for you as a college student, and you're a volunteer or an intern right now with at the university counseling services, and what is life like for you every day as a woman?
Yeah, so especially this summer, it's been very hectic, especially since I do have an internship and also I'm taking summer classes as well. But I will say I've been very fulfilled with all the roles I've had at UAB, especially talking about mental health and raising awareness for UAB students and community members all across the Birmingham area. So overall, I would say it's very fulfilling and very purposeful work that I've been doing.
Okay, I love that. And Allison, what is life like for you? I know already you work here at Dream Mentorship, so it's kind of a biased question to even say what is life like for you. But outside of work, how are you able to balance life as a student, as an entrepreneur, and working internship, and just being a sister, being a daughter, just living life every day?
Yeah, this past year has definitely been super weird because no, every single job I have is remote and I do literally everything at home. So yeah, it's definitely been difficult trying to figure out how to balance doing schoolwork in my room, doing work in my room, painting in my room, and then just hanging out and chilling in my room. So yeah, it's definitely been super interesting this year, but I think I'm finally finding a balance of just making sure I have me time instead of just work time or school time.
Right. Me time is so, so important. And we're going to get into that conversation of having me time. How do you schedule that? But I want to ask Morin, because I know she loves to travel. And I feel I have a sense that traveling is also probably one of her me time kind of therapy. But just talking about you as an everyday woman, how has, the changes in the past year impacted your life generally?
It's so naturally I'm very like extroverted, and like Mac Jane said, I like to travel. I don't like to stay in one place. So last year was very, very tough for me on my personality. But I think it stretched me in ways of learning how to become like an introvert to an extent, become like a hermit, stay indoors, not go out. My mom joked with me like a couple months ago. She was like, "Thank God for the pandemic. Now you can stay in one place." And I'm like, now that the pandemic is over, I'm any and everywhere. So yeah, I think it stretched me and it grew me in a different way. It taught me a different like side, of life, and just like a different exploring different like how different personalities, interact with daily life. Yeah, I'm grateful though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the issue of personality types, because sometimes those who are more introverted tend to feel like, okay, well, this pandemic hasn't really affected me because I'm already a homebody. So, okay, yeah, deuces, everybody, I'm cool staying indoors. But some other people probably feel, didn't have the need to hug. I'm a big hugger. And this year, past year has been hard on me because it's like you can hug people, you can get too close to anybody. And also, particularly, this is really weird, but I definitely love elderly people. I love to hold their hands because I feel like there's so much wisdom in those. And this has been particularly hard on me. I want to say hard, but because it's not so personal, but it just feels weird that you can't do a lot of things that you used to do. And for some people, it could have been the extreme where they've had to deal with a lot of mental health issues and stuff like that. So talking about mental health, how do you ever find your mental health struggles holding you back? Or maybe a better way to frame it would be, what would be a mental health struggle for you?
I've never been diagnosed clinically with anything, but I mean, it's pretty obvious that I do face, struggles with anxiety and depression every now and then. But I wouldn't necessarily say that those struggles have held me back in any way. I mean, there are instances where like a friend may invite me to go out and do something fun or something like that. And, I'll have a good time, but I tend to just be like, like, don't really feel like doing that today. So I'll just say no. So it holds me back in that perspective, but overall, like in life, I don't think it really holds me back. If anything, I think it encourages me to like keep going and keep pushing through the struggles that I face.
Mm-hmm. I like that you said that, Destyni, because sometimes some people, so when we say mental health, we're not necessarily just talking about, oh, someone has been diagnosed or they're going to see a therapist, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of those. Actually, we recommend it. If you need to see a therapist, please do it. But at the same time, it just in general in life, we realize that whether it's like your heart, your doing so many things, you're trying to balance life, and there's just so much pressure on young women to be successful. And even for you, whether you're thinking about, oh gosh, I got to pay my bills, or I have to study for school, I don't want to fail an exam, or things like that generally can put anxiety on a young woman. So I guess the question is, and I like the fact that Destyni brought up the fact that your friends can say, hey, let's go hang out, and it takes you out of that funk that you're in. So it's like, I guess that's the question, like, what are some things that you go through maybe daily or monthly or once in a while that happen to you that you definitely need someone to pull you out of that situation? The goal here is to let people know that you're not alone. There are other people who kind of fear or share similar stuff with you. I'll give an example. One of my ways that I can sense that, okay, Magdalene, you need to get out or do something else different, is when I feel like I want to just sleep all day. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to reply any email. I don't even want to. I just want to sleep. Like, can you just leave me alone? Let me sleep. That is my sign right there that, okay, something is not right. You have to either go and hang out with friends, go for a walk, go swimming, or anything to just kind of refresh you and make you feel better. So what are some things that are some possible, telltales for you all that you've experienced?
Mine's definitely with like eating. Like sometimes I don't even mean to, but I'm like so busy that like all of a sudden it's like 4 p.m. and I'm like literally haven't eaten today. So that's definitely when I'm like, okay, I probably need to like refocus my mind and make sure I'm actually eating or, showering, or even just like doing my makeup or like getting ready. Yeah, that's definitely what I notice when I'm kind of struggling a little. I just like daily tasks that I probably shouldn't be forgetting to do. I'll start to forget those.
That's really good.
I think mine is like binge eating. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times I can comfort eat, like if I'm not feeling well, and like I'll just be in bed and just be eating like bad stuff for me. So that's a sign, like, okay, yeah, you can't. I have to like remind myself, like, you can't use that as a comfort. You have to go to other strategies. So whether it be like prayer, exercise, like Mike Jane said, meeting up with community, doing a Bible study, whatever, I need to do to feel like, okay, don't get in a rut, like quickly pick yourself back up.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. Destyni, do you want to add to that?
For me, I get very irritable. Like, it's very obvious, like things that wouldn't upset me way quicker than they should. So that's usually when I know I'm like, I should take a step back and just not put that on anyone else and just focus on myself for a little bit.
That is so good, because I'm sure a lot of people listening like, yes, that is so me. I do that. So what support systems do you all have built that can help you pull through tough times? Like where you're like, whether it's you just being, binge eating or anything else that you're going through. What is the support system? What is your go-to strategy?
So for me, it's like people. I am a people person and I get my energy from people. So I have like a strong community of like family members and friends around me. I keep that support system because I need that, my love language is actually words of affirmation. So it's very important for me to have people around me that affirm me. Um, I wouldn't say validate, but like, like encourage me and lift me up and like, you're doing a good job, and I love to give that to people as well. And I think another source of support is just like God for me, like just like connecting with my savior, whether that be through prayer, Bible study, group meetings, like especially last year, because I like we were like on lockdown for forever, like you couldn't really see people, so like just joining a lot of like online Zoom meetings was important for me. I do a book club where Mac Jane's on, like where other women we get together and we talk like weekly, like those things are like important. Like yeah, last year really showed me that community is like, man, it's paramount. If not, like I don't know how people survived without community last year. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so interesting that you said that, because I remember when you were saying that, I remember last year, I think at the peak of the whole shutdown, and I think eventually when some churches started opening back up, and we had gone to a Wednesday Bible, not, it wasn't like a Bible study, but it was a Wednesday service. And it was the first Wednesday for us to be able to do that. And I remember just like I just sat on the floor and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like I felt so energized back. So yeah, I totally get it when you say community is important. Yeah, I remember that story. What about you, Allison?
Yeah, community is definitely important to me as well. I think I'm still like in the process of developing that sort of system in Auburn because since moving to college around 2 years ago, and then obviously the whole last year kind of made it hard to get to know new people. So I don't have a huge system in Auburn right now, and I'm definitely like looking to sort of expand it in order to feel like more supported. But yeah, same sort of thing. I have obviously a great family and a few good friends that I'm able to talk about stuff with. So
Okay, cool. Destiny, and from I guess from a career point of view, what are some copying strategies that you can offer to people listening that they can, start doing to help them when they're beginning to feel some type of way?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is setting boundaries. It's something that takes a lot of time and a lot of like consistent like mental focus to do and to follow through with. But I've been doing it. I really started it for sure like this past semester probably, where I only do school and work before 5 p.m. on the weekdays, and then on the weekends I keep it just for myself at least as much as possible. So that's been something that's helped a lot, and relieving my stress and just giving me the boundaries that I need, especially like with COVID. All those boundaries really got washed up, and like you're doing your school and your work and your bedroom, so it's hard to like set those boundaries and keep balance and stuff like that. But by setting boundaries in terms of how long you'll work and things like that, it really helps keep balance and make sure that you're mentally healthy.
Yeah, I really love those points that you mentioned. Um, just kind of out of curiosity, do you all ever feel isolated by your struggles? Do you ever feel like, oh, I'm in this by myself. I don't think anybody else can relate.
I think we all do. I think especially when you're going through stuff, you're always gonna think like you're the only one that is going through that because you can't like see beyond what you're going through. So it's gonna be like, why me? Why is this happening? Why is great things happening for other people and stuff bad stuff is always happening to me, or just things are always going left. So I think it's just a constant reminder of finding also people who have walked that struggle and overcame, so that like you can know like, okay, people have gone through this and come out of it and this is how they did it. Like, so just finding those examples and making sure you don't fall into that headspace, finding activities and things to do that you know show you're worth it, you're not like, don't beat yourself up kind of thing.
Yeah, that's really good. Um, and Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of times we'll put ourselves in that corner like, oh gosh, I'm the only one going through this. Nobody understands my failures. Nobody understands what I'm going through right now. What about you, Allison?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Morin. I think like mental illness or struggles can be or is isolating for literally everyone. And I think it's probably due to like a lack of education and sort of everyone feels uncomfortable or like it's not normal. Like something, if you had diabetes or something, it seems a lot more normalized because we know a lot about it and we learn about it from when we're young. But something like mental illness, you don't really hear about. So all of a sudden you're like experiencing all these weird negative thoughts and you're like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I don't know how to like help myself, or yeah, you just feel isolated.
Yeah, that is so, so important. And I don't want to kind of minimize what you just brought up because, like you're saying, if any other illness, it's talked about, from the time you're young, or if someone walked up to you and said, "Oh, I have such and such illness," you don't say, "Oh, okay." You kind of embrace them, but a lot of times people are not even able to voice it and say, "Oh, I have a mental health situation," or I am, bipolar, or I'm going through this, or I'm having these weird thoughts in my head. But it's important that we educate people to say that if you're feeling some type of way, it's okay to talk to somebody and normalize telling people it's okay not to be okay. Because a lot of times people would tell you, and which is the most common thing, if a woman is mad and she is upset or she is sad and you say, "Hey, how are you today?" "Oh, I'm okay, I'm doing all right, everything is okay." And meanwhile in the inside you're not okay. So it's important that we get to be comfortable having those difficult conversations, especially with friends and family, to say, "You know what, I'm not okay today. I am mad today, or I'm upset today, or I have this weird thoughts going on in my head today. I'm just not okay." So it's really, really important that we get to that point, and this is why we're having this conversation, to say that nobody's perfect. And if you look at a lot of times, people have this like, "Oh, everything is perfect." A lot of the stories that you hear about suicide cases, a lot of times they look okay on the outside, and they never tell anybody what they're going through on the inside. So this is just kind of our heart to anyone watching this or listening to this conversation, to say that we see you, God sees you, you are very important, your life matters, you will add value to this world. So no matter how hard it is right now that you're feeling, whatever you're feeling, talk to someone about it. If it's a friend, is a family member, find your support system, find your own community, your own village, that you can truly share how you're feeling. Definitely okay to say you are not okay. And don't let anybody ever make you feel like you are inadequate or not enough by sharing that. So thanks, Allison, for bringing that up, because that is super, super important, for everyone listening to know that. And Destyni, I want to ask this: do you find that people who are willing to discuss their mental health struggles, either with friends or family, do you feel like they are more closed off or they are more open with it?
So growing up, my family like never talked about mental health, even though my mom did have bipolar disorder. So growing up, no one really talked about it, so it was very stigmatized in my family specifically. But as I got to college and started, involving myself with a lot of mental health promotion orgs, I've surrounded myself with a lot of students who sort of have similar struggles and are comfortable with talking about their mental health. So we sort of went on that journey together of, not being bogged down by the discomfort and just like leaning into the discomfort of it all and just being vulnerable with one another. So I think as time has gone on, I've become a lot more comfortable with like disclosing information and talking about my mental health and others' mental health as well. But when I was younger, it was definitely very stigmatized and wasn't talked about at all. Which I think is just shows like, as time goes on, as long as you continue to educate yourself on mental health and, the proper terminology and things like that, like talking about it is necessary and it is possible, even if it hasn't been done in the past in your life or in your culture.
Yeah, so good. I know that a lot of people don't want to talk. This is a difficult topic that we're talking about today, to even be able to share those vulnerable moments and just kind of, talk about it here. What would be your advice to someone who thinks that they might be suffering from a mental illness? And sometimes even in this conversation, even though we're so, we keep saying mental illness, we're not really talking, it's not just the, when someone's been diagnosed, it's just also saying if you're already feeling weird about yourself, if you don't feel enough, if you don't feel adequate, you're already kind of feeling a little bit depressed, you feel like you're not 100% yourself every day. Maybe it's time to talk to somebody. Maybe it's time that you realize, okay, I need to take care of myself mentally, emotionally. So just from y'all's point of view, what would you advise someone who is in that place right now? Someone is probably Googling ways to get out of mental health illness, or ways to get out of depression or anxiety or stress, because those are some of the things that many young women are struggling with daily. What would you tell them?
I would definitely encourage them, like you said, to seek help. I think the first step, a lot of people, it's easier to stay like in your problems and to stay silent. It's a big step to acknowledge that, okay, there's a problem and I need help to like uh um you know get yourself to that level, bring yourself down to that level that I need to talk to someone, I need someone's assistance. A lot of people, like Destyni was saying, there's a lot of stigmatization. It's starting to get better, but it was a lot of stigmatization, especially growing up. People don't talk about mental health. It was like kind of like shunned, and like people felt shame. But just, I would tell someone, like, it's okay. We all struggle with these issues, and like you need to talk to somebody and get the help you need, or whatever resources you want to use, counselor, therapy, to get the help you need. But just talking about it and just even expressing yourself, starts the healing process, but staying in silence is not going to help you. So I would really, really, really urge them to also talk to somebody, like I said, that has gone through that issue. Like, for instance, like, let's say somebody lost their parent. As much as like I want to empathize, as much as I sympathize with them, I can never truly understand what that means. Someone who has walked those shoes before can empathize with you because they've walked those shoes before. So sometimes talking to somebody who has walked those shoes and gone through that process of grief and has overcome it, that specific situation you've been in, is very, very helpful, because they understand every emotion. Like they're the only ones that understand that same thing with you. So I think that's very important. Key linking up people who've overcome the same issues you struggle with, whether it be sexual abuse, whether it be grief, whether it be there's something else I wanted I wanted to say. I totally forgot the third one I wanted to talk about. Suicide. Yeah, whatever it is, there are people that have walked through it and have overcome, and like are living their lives today, healthy mentally, so I think we need to, focus more on being healthy mentally and not just physically, because it's a real problem in our society.
Mhm. Right. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Every single thing that you have said is super important. You have to definitely talk to someone, especially someone who's walked that path. Destyni, what advice would you give them?
It would be similar advice. I would just, advise them to seek help in any format. There's so many resources that they can utilize, therapy, or even just talking to a friend or a peer group or a crisis hotline, anything like that. And I mean, it's definitely scary, doing it face to face, especially if you don't know a lot about mental health. But by reaching out to someone you trust, you can always have someone on your side, which is really helpful. And also you can have an accountability partner. So like in the future, they can continue to encourage you to seek help, even if it's really hard for you to do so.
Okay. What about you, Allison?
Yeah, I like everything Destiny and Morin said. I think, like, sadly, it's a lot easier said than done, because I know, like, personally, I've been like, oh, I'll look into getting therapy. I've been saying that for about a year now. And it's definitely something that a lot of people look at as kind of like a luxury, and in reality it's definitely a necessity for probably everyone. So I think a lot of times it's really easy to put on the back burner, like, yeah, I'll do it, I'll push it, and then you just push it next week, and it never really gets done. So it's definitely a super hard step to take. But yeah, I mean, just making even the smallest step of talking to a family member or friend is definitely going to help you out in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything that you all have said. As we wrap up today's conversation, thank you all so much for joining us on today's podcast. But as we wrap up on a lighter note, because, we are Dream Mentorship, and yes, we just had real difficult conversation, but we want to be able to put a little bit of a smile at anyone that's listening right now. What are some stuff that you all do personally for fun as a way of self-care?
I love playing with my cat. He's super cute, or like buying him little toys or treats and like getting to see him play with it. And then I paint as like my main hobby. So I like doing little different crafts and things. Netflix is probably most people's go-to, but it works. I like reality TV because it's just such like mindless entertainment, and you don't really have to think about a whole lot. Those are probably my top 3.
Cool. Morin?
For fun, I like Allison said, I love everything artsy. So anything like, I just be drawing for fun while I'm talking, doing anything. I love anything artsy. I love experiences. So I like to take care of myself. I like to go to the Korean spa. I like to swim. I mean, I like to watch sports. I just like to have fun, like, just do things that are relaxing. Yeah. So just, make sure you find that thing, I would say, that, keeps you going, just like soothes you, like that, like your safe space, that makes you feel better. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Destyni?
Yeah, so for me, I just really like to listen to music and like watch musicals. I also recently, the past year, really got into exercise. I love going to the gym. It's just like really fun for me because I can listen to my music and just like be alone. And then I also like to read as well. So just all of those I really like to do to really practice self-care.
Yeah, cool. I feel like I can relate with you a lot, Destyni. I love to read. That is my way of relaxing. Find me any Francine Rivers book and I'm good. I am definitely good. That makes me happy. So as we end today's conversation, I hope this conversation has kind of encouraged or inspired you listening or watching this and in some way. And that is our goal, to make sure that we motivate you to be your better self, to be the best version of yourself. So find what makes you happy and be happy. And all the stuff that we've talked about today, one of the things that keeps coming back is talk to someone, find community. If you need to go to therapy, do it. No one is going, it's not a thing of shame to say, hey, I'm feeling some type of way. I don't feel myself 100%. It's okay not to be okay. Make sure you get some help, talk to people who love you, and find some sort of community where you can feel your authentic self without feeling shamed. Okay. Thank you all so much for listening to our podcast today. And thank you so much, Morin, Destyni, and Allison, for joining us today. It has been truly encouraging to hear your stories and for you to be vulnerable to share on this platform. So thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. So everyone who's listening to this is it. This is how we do it at Dream Mentorship. If you loved any aspect of this podcast, please leave us a note so we know that you enjoyed this. Leave us a comment or even write to us. You can leave us a letter in our mailbox or send us an email at info@dreammentorship.org. If you're 20 to 34 and you're looking for a community of women that are inspiring and that are willing to be authentic, this is it for you. If you you've been looking for a sign a long time ago, here it is, girlfriend. Come join our community. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and of course on YouTube as well. Come join our community. We're a membership-based organization for women. We provide mentoring, resources, and workshops as well to help you have a competitive advantage in the corporate world. But if you're not 2034 and you want to be involved with what we do here at Dream Mentorship, whether you're an auntie, an uncle, grandma, or grandpa, you are welcome to get involved with the work that we do. We are constantly looking for volunteers. You can be a volunteer as a mentor, or you can consider donating monetarily to our organization. Your tax-deductible donation to Dream Mentorship will go a long way in helping us provide scholarships for women who are unable to afford our programs. So we hope that you will consider partnering with us as we make life better for women all over. Thank you all so much for being a part of the Dream Mentorship community and listening to our podcast today. Until next time, I remain your girl, Mac Jane Creighton. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening and going on a captivating journey of inspiration with us. If you'd like to learn more about Dream Mentorship and become part of the Dream Mentorship family, follow us on Instagram @Dream Mentorship or visit our website, dreammentorship.org. Feel free to send us a message and tell us what you loved about this podcast and our wonderful guest. This episode was edited by me, Evelyn Calvo. No matter what your dream is, we can help you make it a reality. And the first step is learning from other women living their authentic dreams. So come back next week for another episode.